Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special podcast, a start of a new season and a new series. Welcome to our Motatapu special. Richard Greer joining me, as always, here, the Team CP Media team coming to you. How are you, Rich?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm stoked to be here talking Motatapu. What a great event. I've been involved with it for a number of years, doing all the different sort of angles of it. So, yeah, really cool to kind of be able to share all things Motatapu and specifically the Motatapu Run this year for this particular podcast as well.
That's absolutely right. We're going to have 3 podcasts, I think it is, dedicated to the Motatapu along the way. Of course, this first one, we're going to talk about the run. Next time, we'll talk about the bike, which is a personal favourite of my own. And then we'll have a general what you need to know podcast somewhere along the line. And Rich, we've done a few podcasts lately, and I've opened my mouth and got myself in some silly positions along the way. I can categorically tell you there will be no entry to a run at the Motatapu go down.
Oh, really? I thought you were just going to say there'll be no Ultra.
I tell you there's a no.
I thought you might be able to squeeze in the Miners Trail. Who knows? It is different though, isn't it? They used to be on different days. This time around, they're on the same day. So if you're going to do some epic bike ride, we'll take you out of the picture of doing the Miners Trail. So that might have to be another year.
That's right. Let's just talk quickly about Motatapu because it's been such a great event. It's a very, very well-oiled event. It's a very professional event. Lots of people have taken on the Motatapu Challenge over the years. There's been, there's thousands of people come every year for this weekend, and just from a whole range of abilities turn up to do one of these events. It's such an iconic New Zealand event now.
And it's got, as you say, it's got something for everybody, which is awesome. And that's probably what's going to be highlighted in the podcast tonight. There is a different range of challenge from the absolutely epic through to, hey, I'm just kind of getting underway with my trail running, which is pretty cool. So just a bit more detail on tonight. We're going to talk about each of those running events. So they're all very unique in their own right, offering a very different challenge to participants. So from the action-packed 15Ks of the Miners Trail, I don't think 15Ks really sort of shows you how tough it actually is with the ups and downs involved. The epic Motatapu Valley of the marathon, the only day of the year that is actually open to you to be able to travel through, to that raw adventure of the Motatapu Ultra, which is traversing the peaks up and down, and a real challenge to see if you can actually make it to the finish line. There's some pretty strict cutoffs there, and a pretty big challenge on your feet to be able to make it through. So we're going to talk tonight in our podcast to 3 entrants that are lining up to the 2024 event to share their Motatapu stories and find out why they're looking to achieve, or what they're looking to achieve to cross the finish line, but also what they've done in the past in their Motatapu journey to get them into next year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just quickly, you talked about your past.
Yes.
Quickly name off, how many have you done? What have you done? What events have you done?
We've done the mountain bike a couple of times. We did the triathlon. That was my first ever triathlon swimming event, standing on the start line going, oh, God, that is actually a really long way. That back in the day when that was there. I've done the Miners Trail by itself. I've done the Ultra, squeaked in just before the cutoffs. It was an awesome day out, actually. So I think, what have we done? I haven't done the marathon by itself. If you're going to say one event they haven't done, but I think we've done all the others.
Yet. Is that what I'm hearing? Yet. Haven't done the marathon by myself yet.
Done the marathon. Yeah. I do find it challenging when I can bike the same terrain that I have to run. So I'd much prefer to bike that same spot, to be honest.
Well, it is all about running tonight, Richard. Absolutely right. We'll forget about the bike for now. So this is going to be great. I'm, the 15K, and that's where we're going to start with, right? This 15K Miners Trail. You're right. It sounds like 15Ks. That's not that very far on a nice day out, isn't it?
Slightly downhill with a tailwind, it'd be fine, wouldn't
it? Yeah, 724 meters of climbing or something. Now we'll talk about this as well, but let's put this in context that the marathon's only, the 42K is only 800 meters of climbing. So one of the toughest races is actually this 15 kilometer Miners Trail. And to talk to us tonight about it is Kylie. So let's throw Kylie in here. Hello, Kylie. Welcome to the Motatapu Podcast.
Hi, guys. Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Good stuff, Kylie. Give us a bit of background. How long have you been running for, and which Motatapu events have you done?
It's still kind of strange to say that I'm a runner, but I've actually always been a netballer, and somehow at 41 I still am a netballer. And running, I haven't done a half marathon before. I haven't entered anything like that. The thought of running along a flat road for that long just doesn't interest me at all. But I've always loved hiking and getting in nature, and that's my two things that I love to do for myself and with my family. And so kind of my first big run, I guess, would have been the Miners Trail back in 2018.
Okay. Yep.
And I just sort of entered that with a friend. I didn't do a huge amount of training. Just went into it thinking, oh, it's not going to be too bad. But yeah, like you said, it is quite gnarly. That uphill is quite high. But I really, really enjoyed it. And I knew that I wanted to do it again. And I probably got pregnant with my first child about 2 months after that event. So, and then I had another one pretty much straight after. So the second time I did Miners Trail was in 2023 after two kiddies. So that's sort of the extent of my running, so to speak.
Yeah, excellent. And how did you go the second time round? Did like knowing the course and understanding what you're in for, did that help?
Yes, yeah, definitely. And I think knowing that I definitely had to put more training in, because obviously a bit older, I've had a couple of kids, and I knew the height of that climb. So I did do a lot more training, a lot more running and getting on the hills, and I absolutely loved it. And I actually beat my 2018 time by about three minutes. So I almost made myself sick at the end, but I had that goal, and that's what I had to achieve. So I did it.
Fantastic. How was training? Like life is different when you've got kids. How did you find training for the event the second time around?
Yeah, it definitely is different, but you, like everyone says, you don't know how different it's going to be until you have kids. No one can tell you what you're in for. But I think the biggest thing is that so my partner trains and runs and things as well. So we have our set days and our set times, because you can't just both go out for a run and leave a 2 and a 4-year-old at home by themselves. So you've got that window of time, and if you miss it, you've missed it, and that's it. There's no, I'll do that later on, I'll do that. So in a way, it's actually, I found it a bit more positive, because it's like, okay, I've got this time, got to do it, and to get out and be in nature on your own as well when you're a mum of young kids is really good.
Yeah, that's good. And that's a good tip for others in terms of to be able to share that time, like to have your set times and knowing which day of the week they are as well. So then everybody knows that's what's going to happen, and there's no surprises and there's no like, oh, you're going to go out now kind of thing. So it's just is what it is. That's really good. So just can you describe that Motatapu Miners Trail? As we've mentioned already, it's not just a 15K run, is it? It's due to the amount of elevation, it's pretty challenging. So could you describe sort of how it unfolds, what it's about?
It starts off with Tobin's track, which is relatively steep, and for some reason you think it's not going to end, but it's a really good warm up to get you into that Miners Trail. It really gets you going, and then there's some really good like gravel roads that you can get. Then you can start getting your running, because I'm of the walk up the hills, run everything else. So walk up Tobin's, run down the gravel road and really get your groove going, and then you kind of make friends along the way who's kind of at your level. And then it goes into beautiful farm track where you're just on single track, and then you get to climb through a wee gully, and you get to like climb a few rocks and things, which is so much fun. I mean, way better than running on the road, if you ask me. That's what it's all about. You're going through nature. And then you do hit the wee 4-wheel drive sort of farm track that goes up and up and up. And I think the one key is just to not look up, because then you see everybody who's above you and you just don't look up. But it's so good. What I really loved this year is there was a group of us that were kind of all together, and when we finally got to that point at the top where you know you're about to go down, everyone actually cheered and chahooed and like said, we did it. And then we just started running back down and then all the way back, and then you get to hit the river crossings, which is so much fun. And if you're fortunate enough to be there at the same time as a mountain biker who hasn't done it before and try to hit the water at speed, it's quite entertaining. And so then you just get through a few river crossings, and then finally the finish with the amazing setup with the food and all the good stuff and your medal. And yeah, it's a very cool track. Not easy, but very
that's
cool.
awesome. And that downhill, was that tricky?
There was a few people slide over, actually. You just got to, it's not like let's put the burners on and sprint down to the end. It's single track and kind of a few tussocks and things, which is it's really good because you're so busy thinking about where to put your feet and what you're doing all there that you're not thinking so much that your quads are burning or you're a bit tired, And then once you sort of get down towards the bottom more, you come in where the mountain bikers are, and it's good. It's just good road track down there from Macetown. So, it's lovely.
You can really send it down the last bit to really finish off. And as you mentioned, sort of collapse across the finish line with that time to beat from last time, which is awesome. Do you have tips for others lining up for the Motatapu Miners Trail, potentially for the first time?
Yeah.
From from a training perspective. Yeah,
totally. It's a little, if you haven't done anything like that, it is hard, but it's totally doable for anybody. You don't have to run any of it. You can walk it. So my biggest tips is to get a training plan from Team CP or anything you find off there. Don't just sort of think I'll just go out for a few runs. Like, you actually got to learn a few things like that, especially like your strength training and your running, and it's not all 100% all the time, and making sure you get your recovery in. Getting a buddy is a really good idea as well. Awesome. And I think within the position that I'm in with kids, I set like a 5 to 6 week, 5-day for the week training. And if I do 3 of those out of the 5, then I'm still good. Like, don't panic. You're going to get there. It's all about consistency. Yeah.
Good stuff. That's a great tip, and having a bit of leeway. It's good to be able to push it when you're going well and the week's going well, but also to give yourself, like, don't beat yourself up when it doesn't go exactly the plan. That's great. And any sort of specific event tips at all on event day that you give to others doing the Miners Trail?
Yeah, totally. And things I've learnt myself, like this year I was going to be wearing my mountain bike camel pack, but when you run, it kind of bounces. And my sister gave me a running vest, and I hadn't trained with it at all. I just went on the day with it, and it was awesome. It was a game changer. But there was little things I didn't know how to use it properly and things like that. And I didn't, I was so focused that I didn't eat anything. I didn't put any nutrition into my body. So when I raced to the end, when I almost vomited, that would have been a huge part of it. So big things is training with the gear that you're going to use. Don't use anything new, and practicing your nutrition, and eat something on the run, because you'll feel so much better for it.
Yeah, give yourself some reminders of when you need to, because obviously you're just focused in the moment and enjoying it and giving it your best, but you've got to sort of start that nutrition from the start, don't you, to kind of help you out. Brilliant. That's totally awesome. So as a result of this, you tell us that you're more of a netballer than a runner, but we've been told that you've actually signed up for the Motatapu Marathon for 2024, which sounds more of a running type goal to me.
Yeah.
What are the confidence levels currently? Where are we at? We're in November, 3.5 months out. Tell us about that.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm actually training for another event that's in December as well, a new one, the Wild in December. And I know Motatapu is 11 weeks after that. So it's just keeping doing it. Like, Sunday is my day to be able to get out in a long hike and just getting up those hills and getting the hills under the legs. And then the other days, just getting those nice flat runs in to run further and further. The great thing about me is that every weekend's a PB. Like, every weekend I've gone further or longer than what I ever have before. So it's like for the journey is a much more important than, like, the event's going to be awesome, because the Motatapu is just so brilliant. You get to do something that you don't usually get to do, like the marathon. You can't just do it anytime you want. So so it's all winning, really.
Yeah, that's good, and so good to be on that sort of improvement curve as well. What are you most looking forward to on race day this time around?
Just like, I just can visualize myself just kind of through the valley and just sort of looking around, just thinking, this is so awesome. I love being in nature. I love being out, and I love being around other people who are on the same path. So I'm just looking forward to doing it. And of course, getting to the end will be extra special. But yeah, just being in the moment.
How good. And I think this is an issue that Angus has on these podcasts that we've been doing recently is people like yourself, Kylie, are pretty excited about it. And it does rub off. Angus, how are you feeling right now about this Motatapu Marathon?
No.
Come on, Angus.
Look, Kylie's got this all under control for us. I'm 100% okay.
Yeah, good stuff. That's awesome, Kylie.
The enthusiasm is infectious. Yes, there's no doubt about it. The want to run again. It's been a long time since I've run, so no.
It's a polite no. No, that's awesome. Fantastic, Kylie. No, so good to hear that you're like just in terms of that consistency and how you're training and some great tips for others in terms of the Miners Trail as well, which I'm sure that will be soaked up by others as well. So all the best for your training, all the best for your adventures and getting out amongst nature and enjoying that. So, and we'll look forward to catching up with you on race day and hopefully giving you a high five as you cross the finish line.
Yes, hopefully. I'm not crawling, but either way, I can high five.
Yeah, that's right. We can do low high fives.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. No, well done. Okay, take care.
Thanks, Kylie.
Yeah, I think the UDC 15K Miners Trail is a real banger of an event, really, isn't it? Like, because you end up at that 1,000-meter, that high point, and if you're not sure,
it's pretty high.
Yeah, it is pretty high. If you're not sure, go on the Motatapu website and have a look at it because there's some really cool photos of the view from up there at 1,000 meters, and it's absolutely stunning. For every event that happens throughout the Motatapu weekend, you do get some absolute stunning views. Of course, the UDC 15K Miners Trail starts and finishes in Arrowtown. At the green, which is an absolute fantastic finish line when you get there, very rewarding. The marathon, though, starts over at Glendhu Bay with everybody with the mountain bikes and bits and pieces. So don't forget, too, it is a little bit logistical getting from one side to the other. Well, actually, getting from Glendhu to Arrowtown should be quite simple. That's what you're signing up for. But to get yourself there or back, don't forget there are some transport options that are available that you can get and book online on the Motatapu website as well. So really important key piece there is getting just those early logistics or end of day logistics sorted as well before we get there.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. Don't want to be figuring out those ones last minute. But the Motatapu, that's part of the event, is they do organise buses to get you from the sort of finish line round to the start line. So then your car and everything's waiting for you when you get finished. So check that out on the website as well. Make sure you're organised there too. There is another event that is shorter than the Miners Trail that I just wanted to highlight too. The Jenny and Holmes 4K Junior Trail Run might sound a little bit more like you, Angus. 4Ks on. Yeah, good. It depends on how competitive you want to be, though, isn't it? You just want to go and trot around. You don't leave some pretty fast kids out there.
Well, I mean, I was just going to look up the rules here. Surely, once we stop recording this, I was just going to pull down the rule and see what classifies as a junior.
How many elbows are allowed to be thrown? I think that would be frowned upon. But you do there's a medal for every finisher, which is pretty cool. So lots of people to cheer you on and a nice smooth surface running around the Arrow River Bridges Trail, which is pretty cool. So check out that if the whole family are heading to the Motatapu this year.
The mustache might give me away, mate.
Unfortunately, I'm working on it. I apologize to all those people watching this right now. You're doing a much better job than I am.
I was more thinking about mine, but if we do want to talk about yours.
Just the laugh. That's okay.
Oh, mate, I honestly, look, if you're listening to this in a future state, it is around about New Zealand. It's November. It's Movember here where we celebrate all things mental health and men's mental health. And Richard Greer is having a crack at the old Movember. To me, I just thought you had some bad lighting going on there and a bit of shadow across the top of the lip there, mate. But, hey,
yes,
good on you.
I do apologise. Yeah, it's for a good cause. It's for a good cause. I keep telling myself that. And I just try not to look at me in the mirror and it's okay then.
It can only get better. Speaking of only getting better, mate. Speaking of only getting better. Our next guest has done every Motatapu Trail marathon bar one. So I'm really keen to find out actually what that total number actually is. But
2005, the first event in the Motatapu was held. So he's done every marathon since then. And word is that he's getting faster as well, which is pretty awesome. So pretty keen to have a bit of a chat to Gary Kirkman about his Motatapu Marathon adventures over the years. How are you getting on, Gary?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Great. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, good stuff. So how many Motatapu marathons have you actually completed? Have you done the sums?
Yeah, I've done 16. I think there's been 17 in total.
Right, wow. right. And is this a thing that is this your one marathon a year, or have you done a few marathons? What else do you do?
Earlier on, I did 2 or 3 road marathons. Started off at 2:49, then down to 2:41. But now I just do the Motatapu each year and catch a couple of trout and climb a few mountains around Tiana and a bit of running.
Oh, you don't catch the trout while you're on the marathon, though, right?
No, but always look for them, in the stream there as I go through Angus.
Yeah, it does sound like you're getting faster. So there's less time to look these days than maybe what you have had in the past.
Yeah, definitely. Probably not getting that much faster. My best time was a 2:53 a few years ago, but probably my best race will be coming up 2024, I think, Richard.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's awesome. So which one was your best one? Like, tell us about your best one. What year was that?
The best one was 2006. I ran 2 hours and 53 minutes. And a few months before that, my young son took me around down the Hollyford, right around the Big Bay circuit. And that was sort of 10 days in the bush and sleeping in the bush and living on sort of tough rations. That was a great background for that year that got me through a very fast Motatapu a few weeks later.
Yeah, that is awesome. But just to give a bit of context to that, the Motatapu Marathon, if you looked at it as a course, is about an hour slower than for most people than a standard marathon. So if you're running about 4 hours that's probably an average time for a marathon, you'd expect the Motatapu Marathon to take you about 5 hours due to the elevation, but also the river crossings at the end do slow you down as well. So 2:50 is insane, Gary. What's the current world record for a marathon? Do we know? That must be getting pretty close to that.
I think the actual record for a road marathon is, in fact, someone's broken 2 hours, but that was just a time trial. I think the world record's about 2 hours and 3 minutes or 2 minutes now by one of the African athletes. Yeah,
you'll be getting close to the Motatapu Marathon record at that sort of pace. Are you? Do you know what that is?
Sorry, my best time was 3:53. What did I say? Yeah, 3:53. Get it right. Did I say 2? Did I? Yeah.
Okay.
3:53. Chris Dagg would run 2:53. My best was 3:53. Thanks, Gail.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should have just glossed across that, and you could have claimed it, and that would have been on the podcast. It would have been. So sorry for pulling you up on that one. That's disappointing.
No,
Which
good.
one have you had a Motatapu marathon that was your toughest, and you like maybe the wheels fell off, maybe the weather was tough? What was there any one that you saw highlighted that you reflect back on and go, whoa, I was just pleased to make it to the finish line?
Yeah, there was one about 4 or 5 years ago. The weather was very wet at the time, and all the times were back a bit because quite often you're running beside the four-wheel drive track on the muddy bit. It was slippery. That was difficult. And one year, of course, they actually stopped the race 4 or 5 k's from the finish at the shot over river there because the river was too high to safely cross. Mm-hmm. I can remember getting there and being quite geared up to run the last 2 or 3 or 4 k's quite quickly, and gracious me, they stopped us there. So that threw me out a bit. But I've done it in 5 hours and 4 hours and 4:06 and best time 3:53. But this year it'll be a fast time. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, fantastic. So what makes the Motatapu Marathon so special in your book?
Well, there's lots of things. It's such a lovely, iconic countryside. It's wonderful going through the Soho and Motatapu stations. The autumn colours is great. And also the atmosphere at the finish lines, the people there, the positivity of the young folk. This world at the moment gives us a few challenges, but the people you meet there are so full of life and vitality, invigorates people who are perhaps past their natural prime like me. And we really look forward to that. And the feeling of achievement too when you finish. You've done it, and then you might have a glass of beer, a cup of coffee and friends, and it's a positivity, and that's great.
Yeah, that's Gary, right. That real glow that it gives you.
Gary, can I ask how old you are, Gary?
72, just turned 72.
So Rich, I've just been doing my research here as you do on the fly. Now the outright record for the Motatapu Marathon is 2:38, right? Set in 2009. So 2:38. That's a pretty darn fast time across there. The set in 2009. The women's record is 3:18. Set in 2012. So these records have been standing for a long time. Now, the really interesting one here, Gary, and I don't know if you already know this, but the 60-plus record is 3 hours 47 minutes, set in 2013. So that is only, what have you got? 5 minutes you've got to make up to take the record.
Hang on, 3 hours and 47 minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
You tell us 3 hours 53?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I've got a bit of time to make up.
You need 6 minutes is what you need. 6 minutes this year.
That's on Gary's best time. That's
the best
Gary.
time.
Yeah.
With this year just passed, last year I ran 3:48, which was reasonable. There's one guy there, Steve Smith's his name, and he's just turned 74, and he ran 3.5 hours.
4.5.
And I noticed back when I ran my 3:53, he ran 3:22, I think. He's an awesome athlete from Dunedin, and he's a great athlete and older than me, and I'll try and keep up with him this year, but, believe what you see.
That's fantastic. That's very, very good. Just to have knees that are still working, I'd be very happy with that at 72.
Well, I think on that point, like your body's designed to run. The hardest thing we do in life is sitting around doing nothing. When you run, the arteries and your knees, the blood goes through them and it revitalizes the cartilage and ligaments. So keep moving. Get off the chair and run and walk and do press-ups and keep active, and that'll keep them right. And don't do nothing, because that's hard work.
And that's a good question, actually. What else do you do outside of running to keep you being able to run? Because if you just run, that can be a bit hard on you too. Do you ride your bike? Do you do some press-ups? What else?
Yep, press-ups and sit-ups. I'm a keen fly fisherman. Love clean water, catching trout, walking up the river. I like to go cycling and running, a bit of swimming, work in the garden, chasing wife. She's a very good runner. She's a good hurdler, so it keeps me on my toes.
Yeah.
A variety of things. Yeah, but press-ups and sit-ups and healthy diet, and the odd glass of beer is good, just occasional, but not too much, and that's wonderful. And yeah, just wonderful. You feel great. Love it.
Good stuff. That's great. That's great advice. For those who've never done the event before, they can get pretty excited coming into the final 5Ks when they say maybe it might be on a pretty good time. Everything's going well, and then you hit that Arrow River, zigzagging across backwards and forwards. And most of those river crossings have to be walked because they're just too deep. And it's an excellent place for some cramp to come and visit as well. Do you have any tips around those river crossings at the end?
You'll obviously, if you're pretty fit at the start and keep well hydrated, it'll hopefully minimize the effects of cramp. And when you're crossing the river, go with the current, because when you're fishing, like the river pushes you down. So go with the current, cross the river at the widest point, and you possibly can run some of it, depends what the flow's like on the day. That's the main thing. Go with the current, cross the wide point, and enjoy.
Yeah, just keep moving. And if you do get some cramp, don't stop. Don't try and stop and stretch, because it doesn't help. Just keep moving and
you got to cramp sometimes. Well, get some of that anti-cramp stuff. You get it which is quite good, a little aerosol thing, which can help with it a bit. But yeah, well trained, well hydrated, and that's good. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. The Motatapu have fantastic aid stations. That's definitely one of the highlights of the event. Are you allowed to have a favourite one, Gary, or will people get upset if you do?
Oh, no, I don't get what people say. Yeah, certainly the last one's good because you get some sweets there, get some aeroplanes and some lollies and things. And so that last one, just before you hit, I think, the rivers, is always pretty good because you're getting very close to finish, and you've got the last 5K sprint coming up. But the last one's awesome.
Yeah, good stuff. Any training tips for others, Gary, looking at this Motatapu marathon?
Lots of them. I'll talk all day. Nothing new on race day. Socks, jocks, whatever you've done before. Applies to everybody. No new food. If the night before the race, if you don't sleep so well because you're nervous, don't worry, you'll still run well. It's the night before that gives you good sleep.
Yeah.
Don't start too fast. And nothing new. Socks, jocks.
Okay. Taking his list off. Taking your list off. Yeah.
There's
one. Make a list. Make a list. Tick your gear off.
Yeah. Don't run too fast at the start, and make sure your last long run of 2.5 hours is 3 weeks beforehand. Not 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You can have for the last 10 days do a few 10K races, speed work. Get your speed work up. We just run for fun, but you have more fun the faster you run. And as Steve Gurney said, talk is talk. Talk is talk. Excuses are excuses. Performance is reality. Go for gold, whether you're 72 or 27.
That's good advice, isn't it? How good, how good. Any race day tips for others? Any sort of logistic tips or anything else you want to share in regards to the Motatapu marathon?
Don't start too fast. Enjoy it and be fresh on the day. Be slightly undertrained the last 10 days rather than overtrained, and nothing new. That's the important thing. Your food and your diet and your and your socks, etc., etc.
Well done, Gary. Hey, that's so good. So good to again that enthusiasm in regards to this Motatapu marathon. Angus is just like just trying to make sure he doesn't push enter. He's got it all keyed up. We made sure he was beforehand.
Yeah. Can I just say before I go, my whole family's done it. My wife's done the Miners Trail, I think probably won the over 60s. My son's done it, my daughter-in-law and my daughter Zoe. We've all run the Motatapu at different times, and I think go run the Miners Trail in a couple of hours. So yeah, we're all keen runners, and it's just what we do. It keeps us fit for life and dancing and playing tennis.
Well, look, Gary, I've see a message in the background. Our most wonderful race director, Gemma, has been watching along here and has made a little comment that maybe, just maybe, we need a 70-plus record.
Oh, good man. Yep. I might get a place. And I was 5th in the 70-plus. I was 10 seconds out of 4th place. So this year, that Gemma sounds like a top lady for me. Give her a thumbs up, will you?
Well, see if we can't get you a course record. How about that?
It sounds like it's getting pretty competitive in the 70-plus age category. So
I think that Stephen Smith guy, he's awesome. He run rings around me, but this year hopefully I'll be closer to him. But he's a pretty awesome athlete.
Yeah. Well, you've got to just turn up and do your best, and you never know what happens, Gary. So yep. All the best for this year.
Thanks guys.
Gary. Thank you so much.
No worries, mate. See you there, Angus.
Yep.
Cheers.
See you, mate.
Good. Well done, Gary.
Just Gary, he's a real classic, isn't he, Gary? Hey,
absolutely.
now I was just thinking, nothing new. I almost thought he was going to list off the old, when you go to get married, something, but it's nothing new, not something new, something borrowed. I don't think we actually want something borrowed and something blue. But I tell you what I like. Actually, probably the best one is, and he's absolutely right. It's actually the night before you get your best sleep.
That's right.
Like nobody ever sleeps. Nobody ever sleeps properly the actual night before, do they? Well,
no, absolutely not. Yeah, exactly. And you're always up early to be able to, and you're sort of half by looking at your watch and what time you have to be up, etc. So now that is really good advice for others that haven't done a huge amount of sort of these events, to just actually don't worry about it. You'll go and have a good crack at it, and you'll sleep well the next night anyway. So just go and put your best foot forward and see what happens. Don't stress about it.
What about you? What tips have you got for our runners out there that are going to take on a challenge at Motatapu, whether it be the Miners Trail, the marathon, or we'll soon get to Nick, who's about to take on the Ultra. But
Yes.
as a coach, Richard, someone, Team CP, what sort of advice do you give there? Like lots of strength or long runs or all of the above?
Yeah, I think you've got to think about each individual's goals for a start, and also thinking about what's the biggest reason why somebody may not achieve their goals. And the biggest part with running is just injury. So how do we decrease the chances of injury is probably the first thing we want to think about, and actually making it to the start line rather than pulling up lame and not being able to get there. So what can decrease the chance of injury? Some strength training is really important. Just like Gary said, do some press ups, do some core strength stuff. Makes a big difference to help hold yourself together, and even do a bit of cross training, a bit of swimming and biking does help hold yourself together as well. So that's one. Maybe also another key piece is just increase the volume steadily. So like there's a rule that we use as a 10% rule. So don't increase more volume than 10% sort of each week. So just look after yourself and don't just jump in from 0 to lot straight away, because that's increasing the chance of you breaking down. And the other side of that is actually make sure you listen to your body. The main way that your body recovers from the exercise that you're doing and running as hard on your body is having good nutrition and getting good sort of consistent sleep. So if that's a little bit out of whack, it's just going to take you a bit longer to recover as well. So I'd say there are sort of some key training tips, but then some other things, like Gary said, shoes and socks. Get your shoes sorted early. So that's going to help you move well. Look to build up to the event and actually simulate it. Like Gary said, like we're running for a good 2.5 hours. So you're actually building up to the point of, so your body, nutrition, mentally, you know what you're coming up for. Practice that race nutrition. And I think one of the key overarching things around any of this stuff is just make sure that you have fun with your training and get out there and have some adventures, just like Kylie mentioned, getting out into nature and enjoy what you're doing. So make sure that the whole training process is really fun as well.
And can we get a training How do we get something from you, Rich? How do we get a training plan or something to get not me, to not get me, but to get those out there
Careful.
to the start line?
That's right. Well, there's a few options here. So on the Motatapu website, we'll put together some training. We've got a training magazine there. So there's a whole bunch of different tips. There's a basic guideline to follow as well, and that talks about sort of building volume up steadily. So that's really important. If you want a little bit more help, we've got a couple of other options as well. So we've got this training plan online, training plan membership, where we've got a whole bunch of videos that we've taken over the years. You can move the plan around, make it yours, Strava, etc., or Garmin, connect to it to automatically tick the sessions off. So that's an option. Or we've also got our one-on-one coaching that we do as well. That's if you want a little bit more support, a bit more accountability to make sure you're doing stuff, or, hey, how do I fit this in around my shift work or my busy schedule as well? So if you want any extra help, jump on the Motatapu website or jump on the Team CP website and just flick us a message, and we'll be in touch and figure out how we can help you out to make sure you can have the best Motatapu and achieve those goals that you want to.
Yeah. I've always been really concerned about getting injury while running, getting injury.
Right.
So do you know what I did to limit that risk?
I've got a pretty good idea of do no running, so then I'm not injuring myself whilst running. You can injure yourself.
Up running. Yeah.
You just be careful you don't cross the road in the wrong place, or quickly try and run somewhere that you weren't expecting it. Who knows?
Oh, I tell you. Look, speaking of somebody who's done quite a lot of running lately, this is an absolute great story too of Nick Boyd, who entered the Ultra for 2024, like 50, what are we talking, 52 kilometers to nearly 2,500 vertical meters of climbing. What has he got? Rocks in his head, this man? What? Nick, Are you okay, Nick? Are you seriously okay here?
Look, I think rocks is a really good description of what you've got in your brain to be able to tackle something like what we're about to tackle in March next year. It's quite daunting if you just look at it, but yeah, really looking forward to it. I can't wait.
So give us a bit of background, Nick. You don't just turn up to do this Motatapu Ultra off the couch. You will have done a bit of running prior to signing up.
Yeah, I've been really lucky. I've been probably running for about 15, 16 years, and been really fortunate to have done almost 10 I've done 9 marathons, and I've just done my first ultra back in September this year, and so the body's okay. You talked about injuries. You talked about running, not increasing your strength by 10%, and you learn a lot in those years that you run and make some mistakes and do things right and do things wrong. But it's definitely been a wonderful experience, and as I said, really looking forward to the challenge of Motatapu, and I'm running in with a really, really good friend as well.
Yeah, so tell us about that good friend. So this friend is a guy that inspired you to start running 14 years ago?
Yeah, so it was a work colleague. We hadn't met. He was coming to my place of work for a project, and he was going to be there for 12 weeks. And he probably just looked at my build and says, "Are you a runner?" And I says, "Oh, look, I play sport. I play hockey. I've done the odd 5K, 10K, but don't really consider myself as a runner." He goes, "You know what we're going to do?" And I said, "What's that?" And he says, "We're going to get you to run 3 hours over the next 12 weeks, and I'm going to build you up to 3 hours. And on the last day I'm here, we're going to run 3 hours." And that's what he did. So there were long hours at the project we were doing at work, and there was a lot of mental stress going on as well. And one of the best outlets we did was after every sort of work session, we'd put on the running shoes and we'd go for a run. He'd map out where we needed to go, and over a period of 12 weeks, we just gradually increased the distance. And on the last day he'd signed off finishing the project that we were completing in the store, and as soon as we finished about 3 o'clock, and at 3:05 we were all ready to go, and we ran for 3 hours, and we just needed to be from where we left to my place in 3 hours, and he'd mapped it exactly right, and I just followed him, just absolutely followed him, and He carried all the fuel. He carried all my moans, all my gripes for those 3 hours, and got me right through to the end. We got to my house 3 hours later. I had such the most euphoric feeling knowing that I could have done it. I've done something quite significant that I never thought I could do. We had we had just some basic food. He jumped in the car and drove another 3.5, 4 hours back to Roxburgh, where he lives. I live in Timaru, and that was the start of my running journey. It was huge, and I've been enjoying it ever since. And the link to Motatapu with the 52 is he wants to do a 50 before he's 50. And I said to him, well, he was there for my first ever marathon, and he and another friend of mine were doing our first ever marathon. He jumped on a bike at the start line. This was in Dunedin Marathon 2009, and he followed us, and we were both sort of at different paces. So he followed us. I was a little bit faster than my other running colleagues. He caught up with me, gave me some inspiration, rode back to where the other friend was, talked to him, jumped back on the bike, caught up with me again. And I think we did 42k, but he must have covered close to 80 or 90k on the bike going between the two of us. And one of the most best memories I have of that is that about 28k in, I was feeling, they call it the wall, and I was really hurting, and I was going up a slight incline, and I was just kind of broken at that stage. And then I just heard in the background was like, you look like you need one of these. And I looked round, and he's got a can of Coke that he'd opened 10k prior, and he goes, drink this, and this will take you to the finish. And I'd never had Coke, I'd never trained with it, but I tell you what, once it hit my lips, I was just like an Energizer bunny, and it just got me across the finish line, and that'll be a memory I'll carry on forever. So anyway, back to Motatapu in March, he wants to do a 50 before he's 50, and we were talking about it earlier this year, and I says, you know what? I says, I'll sign up with you, and I want to be there for your 50 before you're 50, because you were there for my first marathon. So we go in together. We're going to stick with it together, probably until the last 200 meters. And then we'll decide who goes over the finish line first if we get there. So that hasn't been decided yet, and I don't think it will be decided until 200 meters out from the finish line.
Yeah, good. That's good. So who is this person? Sorry, I'm not sure if we caught his name.
Yeah, so Daniel's his name. So yeah, he's done Ironmans, he's done marathons, and he was just an inspirational person to me and a mentor to me at work. And I'm just really fortunate that he's sort of given me the avenue to running all those years ago, and really looking forward to the day, no matter what happens, no matter what we go through, no matter how many rocks in our heads we've got going up those insane mountains and hills. We'll do it as a team, and we'll do it as mates, and that'll be a wonderful experience.
Nice. So we talked about the amount of vertical climbing that this event has got. It's also pretty technical as well, and actually be able to run it is pretty challenging because it's kind of a goat track for a lot of it as well. Have you done a bit of that? Like, do you know what the course is about? Have you done some sort of technical type running?
No, I haven't. I've seen someone had completed the Motatapu probably about 3 or 4 years ago and uploaded it to YouTube and took a GoPro and all that. So watched that, and the views looked amazing, and I was really quite looking forward to that. And I've done it, just as I said, I've just completed the 50k back in September at Tekapo, which the only mountain was Mount John, but that's quite an uphill bit. And so I'm fortunate to live in South Canterbury in Timaru, and even though it's probably got bad internet connections tonight, which I do apologise if it's freezing, but we're surrounded by wonderful hills, and really looking forward to over the next 3 months attacking a lot of those and getting the legs ready to go for March.
Yeah, how good. That's fantastic. What are you most looking forward to with that Motatapu Ultra, other than the final 200-meter sprint that's going to happen?
Well, I was fortunate enough to do the marathon in 2013, the trail marathon, and it was just such a good day. everyone is in such good spirits. You never meet people that aren't looking forward to the day ahead. There's probably a bit of apprehension from everyone, and everyone's looking at the other person going, wow, you look fit, and they're probably looking at you going, wow, you look fit. Everyone has that sort of excitement on them. So I'm really looking forward to just the event itself, because as I said, 10 years ago when I did the trail marathon, it was just such a good day. And it was wonderful scenery. We're very lucky to access that part of the country where we don't usually get that opportunity. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. And obviously your running journey happened sort of 10 years ago or so as you first got in, or 14 years ago. Do you have any tips for others that are looking to sort of get into running, get started, that want to kind of get into the swing of it, potentially do the Miners Trail or another Motatapu event?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's so much advice out there. There's so much advice. So I guess for me, if you're driving to work or if you're driving home from work and you look out your window and you see someone running either on the road or through the park, and you think to yourself, man, I'd love to do that, then my advice to that person is to look for an event and sign up to something. Because as soon as you sign up to something, you're committed to it, and you've got to do something about it, because all of a sudden you've committed to a distance, be it 5K, 10K, 15K, whatever. If you sign up to something and commit to it, then you can actually do it. And so that would be my tip. I think there's other good advice out there, is to join a running group or find a friend. Like, as I said, for me, Daniel was my inspiration, and he got me through the first 12 weeks of learning how to run and got me up 3 hours. It's nice to have someone there with you. And then just start small on your first run. If you want to walk for a minute and run for a minute, then you never feel good. You never feel bad after a run. You've got all the excuses under the sun why you don't want to get up, why you don't want to put the shoes on, why you'd rather stay in bed. But when you finish, you actually feel really good. And I've never completed a training run, never finished a marathon or an event and not felt bad, regardless of what the whole running event was like.
Brilliant. That's fantastic advice. And yeah, it's brilliant to sort of hear that, to be able to share. So hopefully others are sort of taking that on board that are looking to start. There's lots of people out there that are at a whole bunch of different levels. So I really appreciate that, Nick.
I want to know, Rich. I want to know, like, 52 Ks in. No, actually, let's make it 51 Ks and maybe 950 meters in. You arrive at the finish chute. You and Daniel are there together. What happens? What? How does this play out? Do we have to wait and see to March next year, or are you going to tell us what, if you're there and he's there, what's going to happen?
Well, it's something we haven't discussed. It could be a scene from Forrest Gump where Forrest is carrying Bubba out of the fields in Vietnam, and one's absolutely wrecked and the other one's carrying his mate across the finish line. There could be that scenario. We just don't know. I think if you have Chariots of Fire playing at the finish line, it's on. It's all on. But look, I don't know. I'll just be looking forward to it. There will be emotion there. I can honestly tell you there will be emotion. I'm sure all athletes that have completed any sort of event, the overwhelming feeling of emotion as you close to the finish line, regardless whether you're doing it yourself or running with a friend, is immense, and that's what I'm looking forward to. It's a wonderful finish line at Motatapu. Well, it was 10 years ago. So, and just to have known that your family and friends are sort of waiting there as well, it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well done. I think we're just messaging Gemma to make sure that she gets that music organised, and that will definitely help the finish line vibe. Well done, Nick. All the best for your training, and looking forward to seeing you cross the finish line with your good friend Daniel Prue in 2024 in March. And yeah, we'll catch up then.
Oh, thanks, Nick. It disappeared there. I might have. Thank you, Nick, for joining us and giving us a back. I actually thought, Richard, he was talking about you there. Before he mentioned it was Daniel Prue, I thought he was talking about you, because I know myself doing a few events with you alongside you. You've carried my gripes and groans many a times there around the course.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I did laugh at his Forrest Gump and his Bubba out of Vietnam sort of story, because I did the Motatapu Ultra with Jacob Lamont, who's our running coach. He's an awesome guy. He's got the calf muscles about as big as my thigh. He's done lots of different ultras, but on this particular day, we got up to the first hut, and he's just like, I'm just not feeling right, and he sort of had the flu that he was trying to get over wasn't quite sort of, he should have pulled out. He wasn't right, and basically I had a really great day because I sort of walked along and chatted to people. Well, he just battled the whole day, and we got there before the cutoffs of 14 hours or something like whatever that was. But we were coming down from Macetown, and I was just trying to have a bit of banter to keep things going. We were looking at the watch, and I think we were trying to walk at 9-minute 30 Ks, keep it under 10-minute Ks. That's sort of the state we're in. It wasn't. He was in a dark place, but I was like, okay, righto, let's do a deal here. Do you reckon if the finish line is to the right, then I will piggyback you across the finish line? If the finish line's to the left, well, then you'll piggyback me across the finish line. Unfortunately, I got it wrong, and I had to piggyback Jacob Lamont, who weighed, I'm not sure what he weighs. It was 100-something plus kilos over the finish line, down the finish line shoot. So after the Motatapu Ultra. So that was very much a Forrest Gump, Bubba Gump sort of situation to get us across the Motatapu Ultra. Great event.
And that's it. And you arrive on the green in Arrowtown there to a very warm, welcoming set of volunteers to hand out that finish medal that every athlete gets throughout the weekend. And I think that's where it all just comes to reality, doesn't it? When you can come across that line, bow your head a little bit, have a finish medal put over your head and around your neck, and go, damn, that was worth it.
Yep, absolutely. And as we've talked about this whole podcast, the event, signing up for the event, putting your name on the start list, but all the adventures that come on in regards to training to make it there, because that helps everything that you do. Just as Gary was talking about, it makes you a better person, because you're able to, you have to fit this stuff in, and it makes you healthy and well. And it's a fantastic challenge. But to cap it off, as you mentioned, with that medal over your neck is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and we admire any athlete that takes any start line of any event, right? And and Nick's absolutely right. Just commit to something, into something. That's always a good way to get some self-motivation going, is to fill an entry out online. So why not go to Motatapu website and fill an entry out there for maybe the 15K, maybe the marathon, maybe the 4K if I can get underneath the height.
The banner for a start. But you've got to pay your money, because you've put your money on the line, and you've also got to tell a few other people as well, because those things will really make a difference to getting in and doing a little bit of training as well.
That's actually right. Tell everybody. That's the thing. Enter and then tell everybody, and they'll hold you to account.
And then you have to do it. That's right. That's right. So if you need any more help, feel free to get in touch. That's what we're here for. There's a few different ways that we've talked about, as we've mentioned, via our website, and jump on the Motatapu website as well. Angus, is there a key takeaway from you tonight?
Absolutely. There is nothing new, including your socks and jocks on race day.
Yeah, very good. That's fantastic, isn't it?
And look, and as silly as that sounds, Gary is 100% right. The amount of times that we need to say this, unfortunately, but yeah, really, just whether it be nutrition or a new pair of running shoes or something just odd or different, that someone goes, hey, have you tried this? Don't do it. Or just use what you've trained with. Train well and not everything. Make sure it all works, and that'll make life pretty simple on the day.
Brilliant. Great advice. Well done. Oh, thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Sign up to the Motatapu. We'll look forward to seeing you down there in March the 2nd, 2024, and all the best.
Yeah, and exciting. This was episode 1 of 3 of our Motatapu special. So we look forward to having you back in the very near future, where we talk all things mountain biking, Richard. A good old topic, that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Until then, cheers, team.
Thank you, everybody.